Do you actually show the squirrels in your yard that you can be trusted every single day? You probably think you do. You fill the feeder, you leave the seeds out, you watch them from the kitchen window and feel a quiet warmth when one of them lingers a little longer than the others. But here is what almost nobody is willing to tell you. Most of the ways people try to build trust with the squirrels in their yard mean almost nothing to the squirrels themselves. In fact, some of the things you may be doing every day thinking you are being a kind and steady presence are quietly teaching the squirrels in your yard to keep their distance. There are 7 specific things observable from a kitchen window that take less than a minute each. Once you start doing them, the squirrels in your yard will not just tolerate you, they will choose you. Start with the one almost everyone gets completely wrong. Have you noticed that your voice changes the moment you step outside and one of the squirrels in your yard is on the fence? That softer, slightly higher, slightly slower tone you use when you talk to them, most people are quietly embarrassed by it. They look around to make sure the neighbors are not listening. They drop the voice the moment another person walks outside. But here is what the research actually says. You should be doing it more. Robert McCleary at the University of Florida, whose laboratory has done some of the best work on how urban and suburban squirrels read individual humans, has shown that the squirrels in a given yard distinguish their familiar humans by voice. Not by content, not by language, by the specific quality, pitch, and rhythm of the human's spoken sound. And the voice a squirrel learns to recognize as safe is almost never the voice that person uses with other humans. It is the softer one, the one used only with them. This means every time you step outside and quietly say good morning to the gray on the fence, you are doing something real. You are reinforcing an audio signature that has, in that specific yard, become associated with food, with peace, with a creature that has not once in years moved like a predator. Use that voice every day. Do not be embarrassed by it. And the 7th thing on this list, the one almost no one knows about, only works after the squirrel has learned to trust your voice. Hold on to that. Then there is what your eyes are telling them. Almost every backyard observer makes the same mistake within the first 30 seconds of being outside. They walk into the yard, see a squirrel on the fence, and lock eyes with it. The squirrel looks at them, they look back. Neither one moves. The person feels like they are having a quiet moment with a wild animal. The squirrel, on the other hand, is reading you as a predator. In the visual language of a tree squirrel, sustained, unbroken, head-on eye contact from a creature of your size is what a hawk does before it strikes, what a cat does before it lunges, what a coyote does in the second before it springs. Every large predator in a squirrel's evolutionary history holds its gaze fixed on prey just before it commits to attack. The squirrel does not know your intentions, it only knows the visual signal. The daily habit is this. When a squirrel meets your eyes, look at it for a moment, then deliberately look away, down, sideways at the feeder, at a branch above them. Then look back, then look away again. That broken pattern is what a non-predator does. It is what another squirrel does. It is what a creature that is not hunting does. Every time you do it, you are sending a signal that no amount of food can replace, that your eyes are not the eyes of something that intends harm. There is something else most people do that quietly bores the squirrels in their yard, and it has to do with how the food gets to them. The feeder, the bowl, the pile in the same corner of the deck every morning. The squirrel walks up, takes what it needs, and leaves. There is no challenge in it. There is no work. There is no version of the activity that a wild squirrel's brain was actually built for. Lucia Jacobs at the University of California, Berkeley, whose laboratory has produced the most influential research on tree squirrel cognition in the world, has shown that the dominant activity in a healthy squirrel's life is not eating. It is caching. The act of finding, evaluating, carrying, and burying nuts is what the squirrel brain is built to do. Foraging, sorting, hiding, retrieving, those are the cognitive challenges that make a squirrel feel like a squirrel. A pile in a bowl skips all of it. Stop dumping the food. Start scattering it. Take the same amount of seed you would have placed in the feeder, walk to 4 or 5 different spots in the yard, and scatter a small handful in each one. Tuck some under leaves, wedge some into the crook of a low branch, drop some in the grass at the edge of the fence. The squirrel does not just get food, it gets work. It gets the entire sequence its brain was designed for. And the human who provides that experience stops being the food person. That human becomes the source of the most satisfying activity in the squirrel's day. 5 minutes of scattering, that is the entire change. Then there is the strangest thing on this list, the one that requires you to do absolutely nothing at all. Most backyard observers think trust is built by approaching slowly, offering food gently, talking softly. All of that is real. None of it is the most important thing. The most important thing is the day you walk into the yard, sit down in a chair, and ignore the squirrels entirely. In the wild, squirrels read a creature's intent largely from its directionality. A creature walking toward them is a creature with intent. A creature sitting still, facing away, doing something that has nothing to do with them, is a creature whose intent has been declared. And what the still creature is declaring is that it has no business with them at all. This is the most powerful long-term trust signal you can send. Sit in the yard with a book, sit in the yard with a coffee, sit in the yard with your phone. The squirrels will watch you. They will be wary at first. Over days, then weeks, they will begin to register that this large mammal who sits in this spot at this time and never once approaches is not part of the threat layer. It is part of the landscape. The squirrels who eventually let you hand feed them are almost never the squirrels you tried hardest to win over. They are the squirrels of the human who, more than anything else, just sat there, day after day, asking for nothing. The squirrel chooses you. That is the only version of this relationship that actually works. Then there is the part that is invisible to most people, even when they are looking right at it. How you arrive at the back door matters more than what you do once you are outside. When you push the back door open quickly and step into the yard, you become the most dangerous kind of stimulus a prey animal can experience. A sudden, large, fast-moving silhouette appearing in the visual field with no warning. The squirrel's nervous system does not have time to classify you, it only has time to run. And every time you trigger that flight response, you have rebuilt a piece of the wall you spent the previous month tearing down. The daily habit is small, but make noise before you open the door. Speak before you appear. Step slowly into the doorway and pause for a beat before crossing the threshold. Move your hand to the latch, then linger before you turn it. None of this is theatrical. It is the gentlest possible version of giving the squirrels in the yard half a second of advance notice that the predator shape is about to appear. Bill Bateman's work on urban wildlife habituation has shown that the variable that matters most for trust is not the presence of the human, it is the predictability of the human. A noisy, warning-giving, slow-arriving human is more trustworthy to a squirrel than a quiet, surprising one. Be loud at the door. Be slow at the threshold. Be the human the squirrels in your yard hear coming. Then there is the thing almost every observer does at least once because the impulse is so natural. The squirrel is in the middle of something. It is digging a cache. It is sitting still on the deck rail with a nut in its paws, working through the shell. It is grooming itself in the patch of sunlight on the fence. It is so completely absorbed that it has stopped checking on you. And in that quiet, vulnerable moment, the impulse arrives. To call its name, to take a photograph, to open the door for a better view, to step closer, to do something, do not. When a squirrel has stopped scanning, has stopped monitoring, has dropped into the deep focus of its own work, caching, eating, grooming, it is in the closest thing a wild prey animal ever gets to letting its guard down. Michael Steele at Wilkes University has shown that caching behavior in particular is associated with measurable reductions in vigilance scanning, which means the squirrel is, by its own standards, fully unprotected. If you interrupt that moment, the squirrel does not register the interruption as a friendly check-in. It registers it as a predator catching it off guard. Heart rate spikes. The cache may be abandoned. And the location of that vulnerable moment is now marked in the squirrel's spatial memory as not safe. Do this enough times and you will notice the squirrels in your yard start to do their cache work in spots you cannot see. They are not avoiding you randomly, they are protecting their own focus from the one creature that keeps breaking it. When a squirrel is absorbed, walk past, let it be. That restraint is the loudest signal you can send, which brings us to the seventh thing, the one that pays off the promise from the first. Remember when I said there was something even more powerful than your voice? Something the squirrels in your yard can only get from you? This is it. When a squirrel has spent months learning your voice, reading your eyes, growing accustomed to your scatter, choosing to be near you, watching you announce your arrivals, and never being interrupted in its quiet work, it arrives at a threshold that almost nobody in the squirrel species ever crosses. The threshold where it considers, against every instinct in its body, taking food from your hand. The hand-placed nut is the squirrel equivalent of the spot between a cat's ears. It is the thing the animal cannot give itself. It is the resource the squirrel has worked its entire short life to find safely, delivered without effort, by the one creature it has classified as both predator-shaped and trustworthy. The cognitive load required to accept it is enormous. The squirrel that takes a nut from your fingers has done something measurable in its nervous system that almost no wild prey animal ever does. Do not rush it. Do not push for it. Do not chase it. The daily habit, for as long as it takes, is this. Sit in your usual spot. Place 1 almond, 1 walnut half, 1 piece of fresh corn on the wood of the deck rail or the arm of your chair 10 inches from your body. Stay still. Look away. The first squirrel that takes it has chosen you, not the food, you, the one creature in its world it has decided to receive from. That is the highest classification a wild animal can offer. And there is no domestic pet on earth, no matter how loved, that has ever had to make that decision against its own instincts to give it.